River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan here along with James and Eric. Gentlemen, welcome back. How are we doing?
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up?
Yes, we are now deep in the dog days of summer. We do have the schedule coming out this week, and we will talk about that on Friday's episode. We're not going to jump the gun and talk about ones that have already come out as we're taping this on Monday the 13th, but rest assured we will talk about that this week before it's out. So what we're doing today, though, Eric, you came up with this awesome idea, this kind of post-draft examination. There's a lot of things that we can look at throughout the league, but Eric, explain to the listeners and viewers exactly what we're going to be examining in this episode.
Well, I was just kind of complaining in the team chat about the quality of QB play around the league. And then James sort of spun that off into, well, why don't you just give us the top 5 worst QB teams in the league? And then James and Dan, you guys get to kind of like banter about those. And then I thought it would be cool if you guys sort of ranked them as we went along, and I'll keep track
you didn't
over
rank
here.
Them? I thought you were going to rank them.
No. I thought it would be more interesting if you guys ranked them, and then we'll see how it kind of stacks up at the end.
Okay, interesting. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I like this. No, this is cool.
I like this idea too. Yeah.
All I knew ahead of time was to get a general idea of teams that were not in good QB situations still. So that's how I based the graphic or the thumbnail that you all clicked on to watch this episode. So if any of them do come up, cool. If not, I didn't know Eric's list ahead of time.
Yeah.
And Eric, you'll have to make sure you tell everybody the names of those people, those QBs in that QB room, especially me, because I'm not familiar.
Oh, I will.
Okay,
I got it all down. So let me know when you guys ready.
All of them have 3 now, right? They all have 3 now, right?
Yeah, some have 4, but yes, all of them at least 3.
Okay.
So are you guys ready for the first one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Hell
so
yeah,
the first one, and this one seems like a very obvious one to me, was the Tennessee Titans. Their QB room consists of Will Levis, the ever exciting Will Levis, the almost killed on the field Mason Rudolph, and the draft pick from a couple seasons ago who still can't make the field, Malik Willis. That is the entirety of their QB room as they head into 2024.
You mean Malik Willis, who the commissioner thought was going to be a first-round pick, so he invited him to the green room. And when he finally got the call at the end of day 2, he was at a club and had the camera of his family there.
Yes, that Malik Willis. Yes.
Man, that kid, that poor kid. I felt so sorry for him because that was 2022, and I remember that was a weak quarterback class. I had even predicted nobody's going in the first round, and the only one that did was Kenny Pickett, and he's not even with the team that drafted him 2 years later, and
he literally is your problem now.
Yeah, but he's a backup, and we're QB heaven compared to some of these other places. So, but to be honest, I saw Malik Willis. I believe it was the East-West Shrine. No, it wasn't the Shriner game, but it was the East-West Bowl or East-West Shrine game or something like that. I'm like, okay, let me actually look at this kid and see what he can do, because and all he did was just basically run around and throw incomplete passes. And then they had this rule where you had to convert on the 3rd down or something like that, or you automatically gave up the ball at the 50. I forget what it was, but anyway, it led to a situation where Malik Willis was going to have to throw a deep ball. I was like, okay, a lot of people say he throws a good deep ball. So I'm like, okay, here we go. We're going to see him watch. We're going to see what he can do. It was literally 10 yards short of the receiver. And I'm like, this guy is can't go in the first round. Like, nobody's that desperate to pick this kid in the first round. And so, yeah, I felt sorry for Malik Willis because all the hype around the draft, and like, it's funny, like they put emphasis on a QB room, and everybody's like, well, even if it's not a good QB year, you got to take a QB if you're QB needy. And like a lot of teams proved that year, like, no, we won't. And that Malik Willis was a fallout from that because everybody, and even including the Missioner, thought he was going to be a first round pick. And yeah, so yeah. But
And then the Titans took Will Levis the very next year because they thought so much of Malik Willis.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And
now they're without. Now they changed head coaches too, so the regime that drafted Will Levis and Malik Willis is not there anymore.
Yeah.
My main takeaway from this, like, I want to crack a joke about like this should be on Hard Knocks, like but really, like, the floor with Malik Willis, yeah, is really bad. Like, he just, and call it bad circumstance. Like, could he be better with another team? Probably, because just that's where he's at right now. And it's not that the floor is so bad with either Will or Mason, because both of them did have some pretty good games last year. I stopped going higher than good. So that's the thing with them, is that we know their ceilings. They're like, I was talking about the Dalton line, the Carr line, whatever the line is now. They're definitely below it. They're not at the bottom, but they're definitely not above the Dalton line. So I did crack a joke that this receiving core in Tennessee was good back in 2020 or 21, but it's going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out, because the AFC South is going to be a very tough division this year. And if all these pieces do come together and they don't drop off too far from losing Vrabel and can still be at 500, I would call it a successful season for them. But it's going to be a matter of trying to get either of those quarterbacks to go above these ceilings that, like, because Mason never ended up fully supplanting Pickett, and Will had moments. It would be awesome to see him take that next step. And hey, we finally got better quarterback play than Ryan Tannehill. But am I gonna take the over on either of them, like getting to Pro Bowl caliber? No. I don't know. This might be a rough year for Tennessee, but I wouldn't sleep on them necessarily. I feel like this could still be a team that'll run you over if you like really overlook them, but no, it's not how bad their floors are. It's just that their ceilings aren't that high.
And they don't even have Derrick Henry to rely on anymore to take pressure off of them. So I don't know.
They got Pollard, or did Pollard go there?
I don't know, but it's not Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I don't see them competing in the AFC South.
No,
I really think that,
it is going to be a very tough division. Like, if they get third, that'll be a win.
I mean, third's never a win.
The Jags, the Titans, and the Colts. If they get third, and the Colts and the Texans are first and second, and then just if they're duking it out for third with the Jaguars, and they get third like they did last year, or well, no, they knocked the Jags out of the playoffs. They didn't get third place, but yeah, if they can go from fourth last year to third this year, I mean, I would consider that a step in the right direction.
I mean, if they go from fourth to third, they'll still be in range to draft another quarterback in the first round. Right?
True. True.
So, yeah,
bottom line, this was a good way to kick off this list. That's the bottom line, because this is not a good QB room.
So we'll start with you, Jimmy. Where would you?
Well, I have to hear everybody else before I go.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. We'll do it that way.
This is a great team to set the bar with. Are you better than the Titans or worse than the Titans? This was a very good first pick.
All right. Team number 2. Now, I realize this is a little bit unfair because it's a rookie, but rookie QBs generally struggle, and the team around him is generally terrible. We're going with the Denver Broncos. You have Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, and Zach Wilson as your QB room.
Bo Nix. Yeah. Let's just say I'm glad I sold his pink refractor cards because I don't think he's going to be anything. I think I sold high on him. I mean, history has told us, other than Justin Herbert, Oregon quarterbacks really aren't the best. I know you don't usually draft by school, but like you look at Joey Harrington, Marcus Mariota, all these quarterbacks out of Oregon. I mean,
one could argue that Justin Herbert isn't great either. He's like 500 for his career.
Yeah. Like he hasn't been good enough to like propel his team to a playoff win. So yeah, I mean, you could argue, you're right, Eric. You could argue that Herbert is not that great of a quarterback. So I always am biased towards schools. I know a lot of people aren't. They say you draft the player, not the school, but I mean, certain history has told us that you're really taking a chance when you do that sometimes, So I think Bo Nix probably, yeah, I mean, it's Denver too. Like I think
Sean Payton's a very demanding coach.
I think Sean Payton is overrated and just rode the tails of freaking Drew Brees. That's what I think. And he also needed what, Bountygate to help them win too. Like yeah. And then he also needed Mickey Loomis to like listen into the call. Like, why is Sean Payton getting all this love? Like he's actually good. I don't think Sean Payton will be able to do anything with this QB room. And and then it's got Zach Wilson in it, I mean, now he can ski with that hair that he's got on top of his head and be a stoner skier, hooking up with, MILFs that are traveling the ski
in Aspen.
He's worried about that. Like, and Stidham, like, man, that is
he can slope different kinds of mountains now. Low-hanging fruit, James, and you didn't grab it.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I don't know. Give us your thoughts on this quarterback room.
It is a little. It's a matter of how you would rate just unproven. Generally speaking, you're right. Rookie quarterbacks don't do that well. The anomaly year of RG3 and Andrew Luck that we went through really just, that was a once in a generation, because no, rookies generally don't do that good. Or I guess we could throw CJ Stroud into that too, because he had a pretty phenomenal rookie year. But I with Sean Payton, like you've noted, but I don't know. I kind of don't want to exactly just write him off just because I didn't study him that much. And I do just objectively think that Sean Payton is one of those guys that gets the most out of their quarterbacks. And I'm not reading too much into what happened with Russell Wilson, because they did not click right from the get-go. And if we're looking at the whole broad spectrum of the room, though, we know what Jarrett Stidham is. His ceiling is not horrible, but his floor is very bad. And then same with Zach Wilson. We don't need to keep beating that horse to death. That's enough. People have said enough crap about him. So I would rank this worse than Tennessee, just because it's unknown. We don't know Bo Nix, and you're asking a rookie to come into a very competitive division with the Chiefs. And then Harbaugh might be turning the Chargers around if history repeats itself. And then the Raiders, I don't know.
This list, aren't they? The Raiders are on this list.
I don't know.
The Raiders, I don't know. Whatever they do with quarterback.
Gardner Minshew is their number one quarterback. They're betting on Minshew mania.
He's not terrible, and that coach is really good. And he's not terrible.
He's not good.
I don't blame him for.
I don't know. I think he's below the Kirk Cousins line. Like I put him below the Kirk Cousins line. Gardner Minshew.
That's what it. Thank you. It was the Cousins line, not the Dalton line anymore. Yeah, not too far down though. Not too far down. Maybe like one or two rungs, but but again, to wrap up the Broncos, yeah, I would say it's a little bit worse of a situation just because, like I said, with Tennessee, we know Will Levis can have good games. And then the quarterback that's expected to start for Denver, we don't know, but we do know the quarterbacks behind him are bad. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Either
I would
way you go. If you start Bo Nix, you got two bad quarterbacks behind him. If you start Zach Wilson, you probably got two bad quarterbacks behind him. Or if you start Stidham, you got two bad quarterbacks behind him too.
Yeah. So however you rank it, I guess worse would go. So Tennessee would be 5 and Denver would be 4. So yeah,
All
I'd say it's a worse situation than Tennessee.
Okay. All right.
I
Well,
think so too, yeah.
since you guys brought it up, the next team on the list is indeed your Las Vegas Raiders. Starting quarterback Aiden O'Connell with Gardner the Mustache Minshew as the backup, Anthony Brown Jr. and Carter Bradley making up the rest of the quarterback room.
That is really bad.
I know. This was so fun.
I think we're finally gonna split here because I think the situation is the least bad of the three because Gardner Minshew has a lot of starter experience. He is an experienced leader. No, he's not putting up Drew Brees like 5 touchdowns, 300-yard games, but Gardner Minshew, I think with the pieces that are there, they're going to be enough pieces that he can take advantage of to not cost them a game. Maybe he's not going to lead the cavalry himself to like be the face of the Raiders, but I think with that coach that all the locker room really, really likes, they got Devontae Adams, they got a pretty good line on both sides of the ball. Yeah, they lost Josh Jacobs, but dropping down to Aiden O'Connell, there's worse drops. Zach Wilson's a far worse drop than Aiden O'Connell. I think Aiden's going to be okay as a career backup. Like, just start him in a pinch, but don't make him play the whole season. And then I have no notes on those other two guys, but solely because I saw a lot of good play out of Gardner Minshew with the Colts last year, and he's been good enough to be a starter at every stop he's at. Like, that's automatically the best quote unquote quarterback situation to me.
You say he's good enough to be a starter. If he was good enough to be a starter, he'd be a starter instead of sitting on the bench, and he could beat out people in camp like Anthony Richardson. Like, come on. No, Gardner Minshew is a career backup. Like, that's what he's good for. He comes in, he wins you a couple of games when your quarterback goes down, but he is not the guy. He even embraces it. He dressed up as the uncle from Napoleon Dynamite for Halloween. Like, he embraces that he's the guy that you just sort of lean on when your quarterback gets injured for a couple of games. That's what Gardner Minshew is. That's how he will survive in this league. He is a serviceable backup. He is below the Cousins line, but then you go from right below the Cousins line, and I don't think Aiden O'Connell's anything. Like, I just boom, like this is pretty bad. Like, and they have 4 quarterbacks, and they still they still are. If Gardner Minshew is your best quarterback, you have a problem. And like,
it's not an ideal situation, I'll give you that. But based on where we're at in this exercise, I would take so much more comfort in the fact that Garner at least has been in tough situations and won quite a few tough situations. Like, yeah, no, he wasn't supposed to be there. It was supposed to be Anthony's team. Yes, I'll give you that. But I think I would take a little comfort in like, okay, like, we know we're not going to be that bad as long as he is not injured. That's why I think it's the best situation out of these so far.
I mean, I don't even know if the Raiders have anybody on defense, because that's the only way they're going to win. Like, if they have a good
their defense is pretty good. Like, it's not a bad defense.
All right, so maybe they win a couple of games this year with Minshew, but we're not basing this off the defenses. We're basing it off the quarterback room. I'm telling you, I'd live with Gardner Minshew in Philly, man. Like,
it's not a strong argument. I don't want it to. This is the best argument I can make in favor of Gardner Minshew. I want to give him a little bit of credit. Just sure, call it bias because I live in Indy, but He's the best experienced and he's the best quarterback of these 9 that we've talked about now.
That's a valid point, Dan. Out of
That
all
is
the
a valid
quarterbacks that
point,
we've
but then the
mentioned,
drop off
he's
is
the
so
best
bad.
of all the
Like,
quarterbacks that we've
I think
mentioned.
I mean, I would put. I don't know. If we're ranking the quarterbacks that we've talked about now, Mason Rudolph is behind him. Not Will Levis, not Malik Willis. Mason Rudolph is behind him. And to me, it's very close because I think they're equally the same quarterback.
Yeah, one just has a better mustache.
Yeah.
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 Style points go to Minshew.
Yeah, that's so like if your number one quarterback is as good as the backup on the Tennessee Titans, like, yeah, that's the problem. I would put Levis above Minshew because I think his ceiling is higher than Gardner Minshew's is. I think we've seen Gardner Minshew's ceiling. I don't think he's going to come out and all of a sudden be better than Kirk Cousins because I don't think he's that type of player. I would put Will Levis. I would put Will Levis ahead of Gardner Minshew. Like if I was going to start a team, I had to choose between Gardner Minshew and Will Levis. I'd choose Will Levis.
If we can see that consistently out of Levis this year, if he can actually take that step and not be kind of up and down, because again, yeah, the ceiling is there. We saw some great games from him. So he could leapfrog him easily. But like for right now, just because we haven't seen it, I think we should still keep Gardner as at least number one for this exercise. So wait, now we're on to the fourth team.
This
right?
is the fourth team, yes. This one's going to pull it James's heartstrings just a little bit here. I've got the Vikings led by Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy, Nick Mullins, and Jaron Hall.
You're just reading this order in reverse because all I can say is that this is now the best one. I think we're going from worst to best because this is not a terrible.
It's not a terrible QB room. Like I don't think so.
It's not an ideal room, but there's definitely a much lower floor than all these other teams we've talked about.
Yeah, I think I still think Darnold with the right coach and if he got a shot would do something. Like, and he has experience as a starter. Like
he's getting Kevin O'Connell, who he has won Coach of the Year, right? With Minnesota?
No, that was Dable who won Coach of the Year the year that he was coach. He was the first year Kevin O'Connell was with the Vikings was the same year Dable won the Coach of the Year.
And then Stefanski's won. Okay. Well, regardless, he's a phenomenal coach.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the Vikings that year hold the record for the most one-score wins. Like, so he's a good coach. I think he can get the most out of Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy. I haven't seen JJ McCarthy play in college, but
a lot of people say that he's basically going to be like a second coming of Alex Smith, like the prototypical game manager, as much as we hate that term.
Well, Alex Smith led the Chiefs to like a number one seed in the AFC before, if I remember correctly, one year, or led to them to the number 2 seed.
Yeah, it was the year that it was the year that the Colts had to do like a 22 point comeback against them.
Yeah, Alex Smith was so frustrating to watch, though, as a fan. If he got behind by more than 10 points, you were done because he just could not lead the team to points fast enough. It was just horrific to watch.
Well,
between 05 and 10, yeah.
Yeah, if you were a 49ers fan, but if you're a Chiefs fan, you hold Alex Smith in high regard because he was your quarterback, led you to a couple of playoffs. Yeah, I mean, it's not his fault the freaking defense gave up 22 points to freaking Andrew Luck. Like Alex Smith was a serviceable quarterback, at least halfway decent to be able to run Andy Reid's offense and be successful.
And never forget the Saints game. Never forget the 2011 Saints game. that ended all. That was just an insane heart attack of a game. I will never forget. That was my favorite game I've ever seen him play.
Yeah, so he had talent. Now, if JJ McCarthy is the next Alex Smith, I'll take it. Like, if I'm starting, like, let's just say, I'm starting a team and I did, I was like the Vikings. I couldn't get all the way up to number 1 to select Caleb Williams. You're going to go for, somebody who's like Alex Smith. You can deal with that at least, and you could build somewhat of a team that could win with that and win a bunch of games with that. So, like, this is the highest, like, this has got to be the top quarterback room that I'm thinking of the 4 that we've gone through so far.
Yeah, that's why I was joking that he's just reading it in reverse order. Like,
this is just the order that I went through.
Well,
Sam
I don't
Darnold's
think he's reading it in
is
reverse order because I think the Raiders have the worst one out of these.
Interesting. Yeah, no, we did split there because I still think Tennessee is, but
well, maybe I think I would take maybe the Raiders before the Broncos. I think the Broncos would probably be the worst on this list. Then it would go the Raiders, the Titans.
That's an indictment for a quarterback that's not thrown a pass in the league yet.
So I will fully admit that it was like there were the 3 that were really, really, really bad, and then the next 2, the Vikings, and then one more that I'm going to get to was kind of like, well, you can make a case for why they might be bad, but so
yeah. Well, the last thing I can say about the Vikings is that, like, Sam Darnold, like, you could give him the benefit that he learned something from San Francisco, and he's going to another fantastic coach. There's a lot of great pieces there that, at least on offense, they're going to get JJ. They're going to get Justin Jefferson signed. It's just a matter of time. So no, they should be better than they were last year. I don't think much better. And the NFC North is going to be a wild division too. But no, there clearly are much worse situations than you're either going to play Sam Darnold or try to trot out the rookie that just won the national championship. Like, it's not a terrible situation.
Yeah, to your point though, Dan, I mean, you're saying that they should be potentially better, but like they went from Kirk Cousins, who we've sort of made fun of as sort of being Mr. Average, to replacing him with Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy. I think that's a pretty significant drop off in the quarterback play from Cousins to either of those 2 guys. So I think the Vikings are going to take a big step back personally.
They definitely could. I maybe I'm being a little nice.
It would depend on who the week 1 starter is. Like, if the week 1 starter is JJ McCarthy, they're taking a step back. I think if they have Sam Darnold as the week 1 starter,
your man crush on Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I have a man crush on Sam Darnold. Yeah. He's maybe over 1 throw, but still, like, I have this man crush. Like, yeah.
He in the limited action we saw him, he looked like he was a confident, calm, just tried to do his best in mop-up duty. We really weren't out of that Ravens game until, like, the 2-minute warning. Then we were out of it, but we weren't actually out of that Ravens game despite 4 interceptions. Like, it was still a 2-score game. We could have come back. But I digress.
Yeah, I think they'll take a step back if McCarthy is the number 1 going into the season.
I would take that too.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready for the final team?
Please let it be the Falcons. It's got to be the Falcons, right?
It's not the Falcons.
It's not a bad situation in Atlanta.
This one's gonna just be. This one's a little controversial. I wanted to just kind of put this one up for some discussion to get you guys thinking and some thought having. I went with the Steelers. Now I did this because I'm a big believer in that if you have 2 starters, you have no starter. And they have Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Kyle Allen, and Jean-Maurice Plumlee.
Can we start the French guy? Can we just start the French guy?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think I understand the logic that they're going with, like that that through coincidence and accident, so to say, they they have now landed themselves in owning. I'm sure there's a better car analogy. They have two Lambos now. They have a 2012 Lambo and they have a 2020 Lambo. Both of these quarterbacks function exactly the same. A little undersized, have cannons for arms that they can use, and they're not afraid to run. One's a little older, one's a little younger. It looked like that they were just gonna let the Broncos pay for Russell Wilson, and then I don't like the Steelers just as a personal fan, but I respect the hell out of Mike Tomlin as a coach. And this will be the last stop for Russell Wilson. If he can't succeed and it turns into an opportunity for Justin Fields to proclaim himself, hey, I was worth a first round pick. It's time for Pittsburgh to re-sign me. Then Russell Wilson might as well retire. Like, this is through coincidence and accidents. I think the Steelers have landed themselves in a pretty interesting situation on paper. I'm not going to say that both of these quarterbacks are going to fail because Mike Tomlin's a good coach. It's just going to be fascinating to see which one, if the wheels fully fall off of Russell Wilson, and then if that happens, can Justin take advantage of the opportunity? I legitimately am going to be fascinated to see how this training camp battle goes. Just to because we're assuming Russell's starting, and I don't blame him for putting Russell on paper.
Well, they've said Russell's the starter. They've said out of the gate Russell's the starter.
So it'll be interesting to see if they really commit to that the way that training camp goes. Because again, Mike Tomlin is one of those coaches that legitimately is not just a quarterback coach. He will get the best out of any single position that he has to talk to. He'll get the best out of all of them. Like I do respect the hell out of him as a coach because they're never pushovers. Even if they only end up with 8 or 9 wins, they're never pushovers. It's a really fascinating culture that they've had in Pittsburgh for almost 20 years now. So I call me the optimist in this episode. I think Pittsburgh has a great situation, at least on paper, going in through the rest of the offseason.
See, it's interesting that you point out that you compared them to Lambos because the 2012 Lambo has about 4 flat tires. The timing belt is going on it like it's about.
I said there's better car analogies.
Yes, but the timing belt is going, like the mirrors are cracked in the 2012. It's got like 300,000 miles on it. It's worth about 2 cents if you take it to the junkyard. Like, man. And then the 2021.
So you're not a fan of Russell Wilson.
Yes. The 2021, has got some miles on it. Probably needs an oil change by now. It's probably got a dent or 2 in it. And,
it could still be certified used.
It could be certified used still. Yes, I think you're right. I think the 2020 Lambo is probably, of course, like, if you're going to pay for a Lambo, you have a choice between a 2012 or a 2020. You're going to take the 2020. But they're probably like the 2020 Lambo at this point certified used, but it's the base model, man. It doesn't come with power windows. You got to crank them open, like power lock is not there. You have to turn, like you have to like lock, push down the lock.
Fields is the base model. Oh my god. That was really funny.
Yeah, so like,
he doesn't have satellite radio.
He doesn't have satellite radio, no.
It's a 4-cylinder. It's a 6-cylinder. It's not an 8-cylinder. It's manual.
It's like the Jerry Seinfeld when George bought the cars, that was owned by John Voight, and then he found out that it wasn't the John Voight that bought the car, the LeBaron. Like that's what the 2020 Lambo is. Like, you think, oh wow, Brian Urlacher ran this, drove this car, and then it's like, oh, it's spelled with a K, not with U-R-C, So yeah, that's what these Lambos are like.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, this Justin Fields is automatic and no Bluetooth and
yeah, no Bluetooth, no backup camera. You
Yeah.
know,
Eric, how does that feel? Him bashing your
somebody
alumni?
smoked in it. You know, somebody was
Just burning meters in it. Oh my god.
Does it feel bad? Because your
The
OSU
seat has like rips. The seat has like rips in it.
Yes.
No,
Are you
I mean,
insulted from the
I'm not.
OSU?
I'm not, because unfortunately Fields hasn't shown anything on the field. I mean, he's shows like these really small flashes of talent in these very, very tiny windows that, you know, he can really run. He's really great at that. I wrote down on my notes, he's like Kaepernick 2.0. He's like one read, and then otherwise he's like run and take off and use his feet to do everything. So I mean, like, that's what
he's got a really fast fourth gear. That's what he's got. Like, that's what
Yeah.
the 2029, but it's got a really fast fourth gear, but that's about it.
Yeah.
About all it's got is a really fast fourth gear. And I mean, I agree with Eric. Like, I want Justin Fields to succeed. I don't know if everything's there. And especially like when he has trouble taking accountability. Like, I know he says it was mistaken and he wasn't really saying anything bad about the coaches in week 1, but I think there's something there. Like, when somebody says, what do you think the problem is? And he's like, coaching, you know, and then he's like, shit, you know, earmuffs, shit. Like, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah.
So
That's so funny.
And I don't think Pittsburgh has been very good at developing quarterback talent since Roethlisberger left. I mean, their quarterbacks have been dreadful since Roethlisberger left. So I don't necessarily think that he's going to a situation where he's going to magically get coached up and be a lot better.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
That's fair.
Are you guys ready to
the-
give your rankings? I got my pen.
Rankings. Okay.
I'm going to.
Dan, I got your name written down first, so you get to give your rankings first.
I don't
So
want to just beat.
We're gonna go. Number 1 is the worst quarterback room. Number 5 is the best of the, or the least terrible of the 5 quarterback rooms. So
I wish I wrote them down on my end too, just to see them. I think. I'm gonna be a surprise. I think that the Vikings, just because I think the Vikings have the best one, because there's a
Okay.
little less volatile uncertainty with them versus the Steelers. I'll put the Steelers in a very, very close second, though. Like, it really is a coin toss, but the volatility, because they both could be terrible. Russell and Justin could both be terrible. So it's a little too volatile. So I'll put Pittsburgh second. We have a general idea of a rookie versus Sam Darnold, so that's why I'll put them first. Then I'm just going to follow up chalk the rest of the way that you I think Tennessee is worst. I think the Raiders above that, and then I'm giving Denver a little bit of were those the last 3 teams?
Last, basically, you're saying they're the worst because that's you said everybody else was ahead of them, right? Or did you say Tennessee?
Sorry, the 3 teams are Denver, Raiders, and Tennessee Raiders, and
Denver
Broncos.
Raiders and Tennessee is who you got left.
Denver Raiders and Tennessee.
So it would be who you think is the 3rd worst team out of the Denver Raiders and Tennessee.
I am going to sound a little hypocritical saying that, like, we can't judge a rookie so much, but just because of the volatility of we don't know what we're going to get out of the rookie, and then everyone else behind him we know sucks. I'd say Denver, yes, in this exercise would be the worst, and then Tennessee, and then the Raiders. Yeah, Tennessee put 3rd, then the Raiders, then Broncos. Like, best, worst, worstest. If that makes sense.
So your worst quarterback team is the Raiders?
No, Broncos.
No. Okay, Broncos.
Sorry, I'm doing a very bad job articulating this.
That's okay. Your second worst team is the Titans.
Yes.
Okay, and then your third worst team is the Raiders.
Yeah. And
Okay,
then
gotcha.
Pittsburgh, just barely Pittsburgh, and then the best is Minnesota out of these teams.
All right, James, your selections.
So after hearing everything and hearing all the debate and thinking like really what does everybody have?
So give me your best of the 5 teams, the one that you think is the best of the 5. I want to do 5 to 1. So your best team to the very worst team.
So it would be the Vikings would be the best team.
Okay.
Then I think just because there's so much potential in the starter that I think is there that we've seen. Well, no, hold on. Yeah. I'm going to go Tennessee.
Okay.
Next.
It's a nice little bump for Will Levis there.
Yeah.
Will Love.
So we have the Raiders. The
So you're down to Raiders, Broncos, and Steelers.
Okay. I think I would take the experience of Gardner Minshew over the what if of Bo Nix. So I'm gonna go third best is the Raiders.
All right.
And then I'm going Broncos. Next one.
All right, so you're going with the Steelers as the worst QB room ever.
Not ever, but like in the league right now.
Yeah.
Really?
I think Eric has a point.
Wow.
I think the fact that we've seen Russell without Pete Carroll, and he had a good defense in Denver. That's supposedly a good defense, and they still were bad. I just think Russell Wilson, like I said, he needs to be put in the Lambeau junkyard. He just needs to just go away and left for parts. I think Fields, I hate to say it because I do kind of wish the best for him because he's still young, but I think Eric's right there again. You got a guy that does just one read and then runs, and he just has a really fast gear. But how that translates to the NFL, I think we've seen already. We've seen what he can do in the NFL the last 4 years. So
what I didn't actually take into consideration too is that his OC is going to be Arthur Smith.
Oh yeah.
I just remembered they're not getting an ideal OC.
Well, I mean, are we actually using OC as part of the quarterback room, Eric?
Well, I mean, you just take the whole thing into consideration. I mean, whatever it is, but
I think when it's Arthur Smith, it's when it's an OC, I know for bad reasons. Yes.
Yeah, but I'm not basing it off of that. I'm basing it basically purely off what the quarterbacks are there. You got a rundown piece of crap that needs to be put into the junkyard. It was good a long time ago, but it needs to be restorated and everything. There's a lot of work, and by the time you do it, it's going to be an antique and in the Hall of Fame or whatever. I don't know, maybe, but that ship has sailed for Russell Wilson. Justin Fields, I think, he has that fourth gear, but that's about all he has. And we've seen how much he can do in the NFL in 4 years, And so, yeah, I think honestly out of those, because I would, even like Bo Nix, right? You got a fresh new guy. You don't know what you're going to get from him. Like I said, Oregon quarterbacks, have history of not being the best, but still, you never know. LSU quarterbacks were horrible until Joe Burrow came along, And
I would take a Justin Herbert level quarterback over either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields.
Yeah, exactly. And you could get that in Bo Nix, and there's potential there. I mean, Sean Payton may be able to do something with him and get something out of him, because he, I don't know, he has some rapport with some of these other quarterbacks that have gone through his system in New Orleans. And he has gotten some good quarterback play out of some of the quarterbacks that have been through there. So
I was talking strictly professional merits. He is a good quarterback coach.
Yeah, and so I would take that. I would take Bo Nix and Sean Payton over the rundown Lamborghinis in Pittsburgh. And the thing about it is, you got 2 rundown Lamborghinis, and then you got like a Gremlin or something like that, a Gremlin, and then you got a Renault. Do you know what a Renault is?
No.
Were you old enough for Renaults?
No, I know what a Gremlin is. I don't know what a Renault is.
A Renault was a French car, and like you had to get a special tool just to do an oil change on it. You had to go to a special mechanic, and it wasn't like the greatest car in the world because the transmissions would go out. And that's their 4th quarterback is a Renault. His transmission is out. And so I don't think Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh, out of everything that we've talked here, has the worst QB room.
All right. Well, there you have it.
I'm surprised the Falcons didn't make the list, though.
Well,
no, I couldn't put the Falcons on the list because Cousins is actually pretty good if he plays.
A dumb draft decision doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad room. Like, it's I don't know. I'm not trying to add time for that. I do want to add like 30 seconds though, just because it makes me laugh now. I've seen the thumbnail. People obviously saw the thumbnail to click on it. You have not seen the thumbnail as we're taping this, so I kind of want to show it to you because one quarterback on your list is in the graphic. Literally one. We were way off. I was way off.
You were way off. I wasn't. I just said I think an honorable mention should be the Falcons.
That's funny.
I thought 4 different teams. So here it is.
Oh, nice.
Panthers, New England, the Giants.
Yeah. I almost picked Carolina. They were in consideration on the list.
I call it a little mean to Bryce Young and then also mean to it's gonna be May. But no, we were on the same page with JJ McCarthy, but I'm really surprised you didn't think about the Giants or the Saints because we know the ceiling for both of them and they're both not that good.
I considered them. I actually think Derek Carr is passable. I mean, he's right around the Cousins level, so I mean, like, he's not terrible.
I called it in our text thread the Carr line instead of the Cousins line on accident.
Yeah. I considered the Giants, but I thought that the Steelers argument was going to be a funner debate, to be honest. So.
Okay.
I mean, the Giants do have a pretty bad room. The Browns do have a pretty bad room. Yeah. Yeah.
No disrespect at all to oh god, who did they just sign? Oh no. They lost oh god, who was that quarterback that got stabbed in the lung?
Tyrod
he was
Taylor?
Joe Flacco's. Yeah, Tyrod Taylor went to the Jets. I forgot he wasn't a Giant anymore. But yeah, anyway, still, I guess in general, still no disrespect to Tyrod Taylor. But yeah, I don't know who the backup to Daniel Jones is. Did they draft a quarterback late?
Do the sponsor and I'll look up his backup while you're doing that.
Okay. I like that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the sponsor. Here we go. I had the wrong thing up. Our sponsor for the season is not actually, oh goodness. I despise whoever screwed with our graphics. I don't even know if I have the graphic in. I gotta find that graphic again. I am very mad at whoever just deleted all our graphics.
Well, since you haven't got there yet, it is Daniel Jones.
Hold on. We have the graphics.
Oh, okay.
Unless did they? Nope, they didn't even move it into this folder. Well, I don't have a graphic anymore. That's awesome. Thank you,
right here,
James.
yeah.
Yes, here we go. Our sponsor is Royal Retros. There it is. What is RoyalRetros.com? It is your go-to place to get yourself an authentic throwback jersey, whether it's football or any of the other major sports, basketball, baseball, soccer. Royal Retros will hook you up. And go ahead and check out their candlestick collection. It is curated with the Bay Area in mind. It's got 49ers gear. It's got baseball Giants gear. And when you find something you like, use the promo code Shady Sports to get 10% off of your entire order. Not just one item. It's 10% off of your entire order when you use promo code Shady Sports at checkout. It helps us out. It helps our parent company, Shady Sports Network, out. Again, use promo code Shady Sports to get 10% off of your entire order at royalretros.com. Again, go to royalretros.com to get yourself an authentic throwback jersey. Today, speaking of Shady Sports, I'm going to talk to Sam about who deleted our graphics. James, go ahead and tell them about the charity.
Luckily, we have the hard copy backup.
Yeah, listeners, that was not scripted. I literally don't know where these graphics went. Anyway, tell them about
do you have the charity graphics, Dan, or do you not have those either?
No, I'll just spoil that one. But yeah, I still got the shirts. I don't know why. I don't know why my Royal Retros ad disappeared.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Anyway.
So we've been beating this horse now for almost a year, but we believe owners are not being held to the same standards as players. Case in point, the Houston Texans minority owner was charged with very serious sexual crimes in Kentucky. The league knew about it for about 3 months and said nothing. Whereas, if you follow the news recently, Von Miller, Dak Prescott, open investigations. We knew about it right away. We knew as they were being investigated. No charges, nothing yet. They were being investigated, and we knew about it. And that's why we believe that owners are not being held up to the same standards as players when it comes to reporting some of the bad stuff they do. So owner standards are less than player standards. Hashtag owner accountability is the tag that we are trying to get going. And to show you we put our money where our mouth is, we are raising money for Mountain Comprehensive Care Centers in Kentucky. The first thing you can do, you can buy our statement shirt, owner standards are less than player standards, hashtag owner accountability. You can get this in different colors, different sizes, different styles, starting at $22.99. Our next shirt is our podcast logo art. You'll find this when you see us on YouTube or Spotify or anywhere you listen to podcasts or watch us. You'll find this in our little profile detail. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt, and you can get it in different styles and different sizes as well. Next up, we have our alternate logo, the Niners nuts with the field goal and the peanuts. I have this shirt, very nice quality. $22.99 gets you that. We have different colors, different sizes. And finally, we have our mascot, the Niner nut, eating peanuts while watching and cheering on the San Francisco 49ers. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt, or we have different styles, different sizes. When you buy one of these t-shirts, all the proceeds go to Mountain Care Comprehensive Centers in Kentucky. And guys, we have been talking about it, and we are thinking it, and we'll probably have it by the beginning of the season, a new shirt design for which you can buy. So just look out for that. Those two will also go to charity as well.
Yes, guys, go to Bonfire. It is in our show notes. And yeah, we're still raising money for now. Sorry, I was clicking some things. I got distracted by the background, just full disclosure. So with that, guys, things going on in the...
Put a little bow on things. The New York Giants quarterback room is really terrible and would have been a good candidate for this show. It's Daniel Jones, the ever awesome Drew Lock, Tommy, the Pizza Man DeVito, and Nathan Rourke.
I mean, Danny Dimes has won a playoff game in the last 2 years. Just saying.
That is true.
He beat Kirk Cousins in a playoff game.
Well, I'm pretty sure I could beat Kirk Cousins in a playoff game.
I forgot
Drew Lock went there. With the Giants' offensive line?
It just has to be a playoff game in prime time, and I'm going to win.
Drew Lock is really going to give Daniel a run for his money. I'm going to go ahead and call it out there. I don't think Lock is a terrible quarterback, but no, he didn't beat Geno Smith, but I wonder how much of that was just more inner politics than skill. But no, that I'm going to be really interested in that training camp battle, especially because Daniel's coming off a bad injury. But But yeah, no, I just thought that was funny that the graphic in your list were so different.
Yeah.
I mean, the Giants are up there, but I mean, I think I would take it over some of the quarterback rooms still because, but I don't think honestly though I still think it's bad enough to where Brian Dable is going to probably end up losing his job at the end of the season.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, very likely.
Yeah, they're gonna be at the
Mr.
bottom.
Coach of the Year, Mr.
Yeah.
Coach of the Year.
They're gonna be at the bottom of that division again.
Yeah,
Yeah, very likely.
well, maybe the Commanders too, because
I don't want Dan Quinn to be the little news blurb. I did get a massive kick out of that fake shirt that he wore at his press conference, though. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
The little news blurb, though, 2 players got paid today. Antoine Winfield signed, I believe it was a $21 million down the middle average on his contract to stay with Tampa. Glad he got off the franchise tag. And then it was in the works for a while. It kind of flew under the radar because the Lions signed Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown to their big contracts. But now the big contract that they've been working on, Jared Goff, he has signed a contract worth $53 million a year. I think I read it was 175 guaranteed. And yeah, that'd be what, 4 with 212 over 4 years, something like that, if I did the math right. But yeah, no, Jared Goff is now in the $50 million club of quarterbacks. So I mean, kudos to him. We talked a little bit of in our text chat about it, but I'll put it out there. I think he's a pretty darn good quarterback. I think he deserves maybe not top 5, but he definitely should be in the top 10 consideration. The way that he's been playing with Campbell, he looks like a first-round draft pick again. Or finally, I don't. He's played very well at the Lions the last 2 years. So I mean, kudos to him.
I wanted to crap on the deal a lot more than I could. He doesn't deserve top 2. I mean, he's right behind Burrow in average annual money, which is insane. He doesn't deserve top 2 money by any stretch of the imagination. He's probably
if he got a $55 million contract, I'd be mad too. He's not worth that much.
Yeah, so I mean, like, he's probably in the top 12 of quarterbacks in the NFL. So I mean, like, I could see him making somewhere in like between like, I don't know, 42 and 50 million, something like that, I guess. But I mean, I wouldn't have personally paid him $52 million a year, but I guess that's what we pay quarterbacks now. It seems that anybody that can throw the ball for about 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns makes $50 million a year now. So I guess that's what it is.
FYI, Jalen's contract now what, 5th highest after it was the 1st highest. So
oh yeah, I mean, all these. This is just. I mean, it's ridiculous how much these are just snowballing now, year after year after year. I mean, you get a guy that signs, like you said, like Jalen signs, and then it's 2 years from now he's going to be the 10th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, the AAV is just really for show and for bragging rights. Like, you got to, if you really want to go into the weeds on like what's fully guaranteed, what's a signing bonus, what's the division of the cap hit. Because when you were gone 2 weeks ago and it was just us, we looked at Jalen's contract and we laughed at how there's literally like 6 void years and he's like under 20 million cap hit until like 2029, and then he's like a 95 million cap hit. Like,
yeah,
you guys kicked the money so far down the line on Jalen's contract. Like, he's basically going to be Bobby Bonilla of Philly. Like,
we'll take it if he wins us a championship. We'll take it.
Yeah,
I don't care. You could pay the guy, $60 million for the rest of his life if he wins the Super Bowl in Philly. That's how we feel. So,
well, that's what we got to do with Purdy, really. That's what we got to do. We got to really backload the crap out of his contract. That's what we did with Bosa. That's what we're going to have to do with BA come August. Like, we're going to be in cap hell, but I mean, this is the gamble. We have a Super Bowl window, so if we don't get it and then we go to cap hell, then I mean, that's just part of the gamble. If we get the ring, then yeah, it'll be worth it. So to certain extents, but
it's
yeah,
just the way it's just the way the NFL works now. It's just everybody just keeps backloading, and they keep hoping that as they backload, the cap will increase to help offset that backload, and that you won't be in as big of cap hell as you really think you're going to be, because there'll be some big increase. You know, they're counting on, I don't remember when the
We had
TV
a 30 million increase this year.
Yeah.
It was the biggest increase in a while, though.
Yeah, but they're counting on when those TV deals expire again, whichever that is. It's probably in another 4 years or something. You know, those TV deals will be up again, and they're counting on there being a giant cap spike from those TV deals being renegotiated. And when Amazon and Apple come in and pay $4 billion a year for the rights for NFL games or whatever.
Oh Lord, we need to dedicate an episode, like, that'd be a great episode in June or July to break down, like, because you and I, whether it was in the team chat or just our private chat, like, it's been fun trying to dissect all these streaming deals. It's been fun to nerd out over that. We should see if the listeners want to nerd out over that with us. I love following that stuff. I love following how the streaming wars have been going over the last decade.
Yeah.
And honestly, too, like, I would have loved Apple to have the freaking streaming rights to Sunday Ticket, because one, you could sync up your Papa with your broadcast, because they're the ones who started that. So you can start, like, now MLB app does it, but before it was only the Apple TV Plus app where you could watch a game, a sports game, and listen to the radio broadcast synced up to your game.
Oh, that's cool.
Plus, I believe
so I wouldn't have to turn on my desktop and then mute my TV.
yes, and you wouldn't have to try to sync it up. Like, it would automatically be synced. And then I believe Apple was also considering what the NBA does, where you can buy a team. You can just buy a team. The
NFL vetoed that this time around. They all tried to. I know both YouTube and Apple both pushed for that, and the NFL said no this time around.
Yeah, but they're eventually going to have to cave in on that, especially once the package starts going up to like $500-$600.
Yeah,
it'll end up going. But
a team package would be wonderful.
Yeah, honestly, and then like the potential with like Apple was like, okay, you know, you don't have to have the package, but let's just say, you know, the game in your market you don't want to watch. Like, say it's like, you know, the Panthers versus, you know, who was the other, like the Broncos, and that's your 4:00 game for some reason, whatever, because that's your local team. Like, you could pay to have the game of the week instead of having that game. Like, you could just pay like $20-$25 and you could get, you know, Cowboys Eagles or 49ers Lions or something like that in the 4:00 spot. That's the game of the week, instead of having to watch, you know, your Carolina Panthers lose to the Denver Broncos or whatever. Like, that's another thing that people have been pushing for, that I think Apple was going to go along with and try to do that too. Like, make a pay-per-view per game. If you just didn't want the whole streaming service, you could pay for an out-of-market game whenever you wanted to.
Yeah, what I would have really liked was Apple bought the streaming rights to the MLS, to the soccer league.
Yeah.
And when they did that, they upgraded like all of the technology around all that. So they upgraded like all of the cameras and all the feeds and everything. Yeah. So like all of it is really crisp and really crystal clear and all that stuff. And they did away with like the local blackouts and stuff too. So now,
yes, that's another thing that they were going to do.
Yeah. So like I live in Columbus, obviously. So, you know, we have the Crew here. So you can still watch the Columbus Crew games on the Apple feed, even if they're home. So that was really cool.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So I would have really liked them to do that, because the NFL, the Sunday Ticket, still uses all just the station streams. So you still get like the Fox feed and the CBS feeds. And sometimes those feeds are just not very good. So, because if you look like the Amazon feed, you know, some people don't really like the games being on Amazon, but the Amazon feed itself is actually really, really good. It's a very high quality stream.
Peacock's really good too. Peacock is actually in 4K, if I'm not mistaken, for the Sunday night games. So I've enjoyed watching the Sunday night games through there. And then I agree with I agree with Amazon too. I think the Amazon feed looks really nice too for the Thursday games.
Yeah, so it would have just been nice for them to get that, so that they could kind of force those upgrades across the board and get that new technology across. But maybe next go around.
Well, we got to get Fox on a streaming thing that's not exclusively YouTube TV or TV on Hulu. Like, we need a dedicated Fox Sports app that doesn't require a cable login.
It's coming.
Hand it
It'll
over.
be here this fall. It's coming with the big 25 sport mega package conglomerate that's coming.
Yeah,
That's all I ask. I can let go of Apple not getting the NFL Network, but in the it's like 12 years now I've cut the cable, or 13 years now since I've cut the cable. A dedicated Fox without cable credentials is the only thing I've not gotten so far. Call it a first world problem. It's my first world problem. I want
It's
Fox.
mine too. It's mine too.
I want Fox without cable credentials, damn it. Like, is that so much to ask?
Yeah, it's coming this
I got
fall. You'll be all right.
I got CBS on Paramount Plus. I got NBC on Peacock. Where the hell is Fox's dedicated app? Whatever. We're going a little bit over time. Guys, we did double up on this episode. So kind of get used to it. Maybe we're gonna just do a long Tuesday and then a Friday for the rest of the summer. Who's to say? We are going to be talking about the schedule.
It just depends on how long we ramble at the end.
True. And then Thursday. We record Thursday, the day after the schedule comes out. So Friday's episode will be just going to a broad overview of the schedule, no schedule predictions, but we're just going to take a look at it and see like the buys and prime time and talk about those games and see where the 49ers fit and see how much the league either screwed or favored the 49ers.
Yes, we'll have our instant. I was going to say, we'll have our instant initial reactions to the schedule. Obviously, we'll dive a little bit deeper after this initial one. But yeah, no episode tomorrow. And then we will talk about the schedule on Friday. So, Eric, what was the last thing you wanted to say?
I'm looking forward to the schedule episode. Can't wait to see who we play and win.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Me too.
All right, guys. Well, with that being said, outro music, River Road, Justin Muth.
Catch you guys on Friday. See you then.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the way you whine and cry.